the role that you're going to be doing. We've just started the recording that you are part of the session today, so thank you for that. And this is session 2, and this is about understanding your participants. So some of you from Chiltern obviously are starting to work with some participants who might have special educational needs, and there are certain things that we might need to consider when we're delivering with young people who may have additional learning needs and physical needs maybe. But this presentation is developed or has been developed with UK Coaching, who you may have come across before. They're quite a significant organisation in UK sport and are very much behind supporting young people like yourself on their pathway to coaching. Youth Sport Trust, you can see in the bottom right hand corner, is obviously the main partner with Stuart and Jill and Nikki when we're delivering this presentation. So today we're looking at some key session aims, those being that we'd like to look at what our personal motivations are to take on the coach activator role that you're going to look at doing. So what's sort of got you interested in taking on the role? Is it an intrinsic? So is it an internal motivation? Is it your own sort of motivation? I want to make a difference, or is it maybe a teacher that sees some fantastic skills and attributes in you that you might not even realize yourself, and they've been a driving force in terms of an extrinsic, external motivator to get you involved? And we'll explore that a little bit more as we go through this afternoon's presentation. We'll also look at and try and understand the different barriers that might be in our way that stop us being so motivated in being coaches or activators, or also for people to especially girls taking part in physical activity. In sport, we use acronyms quite a lot. So STEPS and SMILES are 2 acronyms that we'll refer to a lot this afternoon, because they can really support our delivery and they give us a framework to fall back on if our session doesn't go quite the way we'd hoped. And it also gives us objectives and structure to work to in terms of how we plan our sessions. And we'll look at how we adapt and use STEPS and SMILES when we actually get to deliver in a practical environment. And then, like we did last time, we'll reflect on the content of the session, and then we'll also try and identify how you might be able to improve your delivery moving forwards in the future as a coach activator. I'm sure you're doing really well already, but we'll look at sort of different things that might further improve it. For me, I find some of the sportsmen and women that you've put in the chat facility is a really interesting example of who could motivate you. So we got Marcella Bielsa, who I believe is the Leeds manager. Got Marcus Rashford again, Grealish, Sky Brown, who I think is the a young lady who did really well in the Olympics in terms of the skateboarding, and Michael Phelps. Wow, that's a different one. That's awesome, fantastic swimmer. Good. Okay, and we'll talk about that as we go through the presentation. Oops. So, what we're going to do, Jill's going to work her magic, and she's going to pop in the chat facility a link to a video which is all about what motivates young people to be active. So she's just popped it in there. I'm not going to play it at my end, so I'm going to suggest that you pick it up on your computers and have a little watch, and then when you've seen it, like you've done before, press done or type done, sorry, into the chat, and then I know you're all sorted. Off you go, guys. Enjoy. Thank you, Denby. We'll just wait a few seconds while the others come through. Thanks, Kitty. Good stuff. Thanks, Tilton. Well done, guys. Thank you for letting us know. Trying to move the presentation on. Okay, so what we'd like you to do is have a little think and then pop it in the chat facility. So you can discuss it with your friends if you want to, or if you're on your own, obviously working from home, then that's fine. But could you tell us why you are involved in sports? What motivates you? Why do you want to be involved in sports? What are the benefits? What do you get out of it? Have a little think, chat amongst yourselves, and then pop it in the chat facility, please. Love that. The students are raving about me and said, Miss Stallwood, love it. So there's an inspiring teacher. To have fun with friends. Love that, Tilly. Yep, that's what you get out of it. To have fun. Good, Tia. Parents might influence it sometimes. Getting enjoyment, escape from reality. Yeah. PE teacher inspires you. Good. And then for myself, yeah, just my mental well-being, maybe. Yeah, your mental well-being. Emily's put because it's fun. Great. Whether that's team sport or individual sport, hopefully that sport is fun. And that could be at recreational, representative, or at elite level. Looking after your body tier, yeah. So not only from a mental well-being, but also from a physical perspective to making sure you look good as well as feel good. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good way of explaining it. Okay, thank you for that. So moving that forward, we've got this opportunity, or you've got this great opportunity to be a coach or activator and be that ripple in the pond that we talked about before. What excites you the most about being a coach activator? So have a chat amongst your colleagues or reflect upon that question. What excites you the most about being a coach activator? Working as a team. Yeah. Great to do that with 2 or 3 other coaches. That you may enjoy motivating other people. And that makes you feel better because you know that you've made an impact on them. Brilliant. Love that. Making a good impact on other people. Help encouraging people to help others enjoy sport as well. Emily, love that. Well done, Tia. Just waiting just in case anyone's tapping away and I don't want to steal their thunder by moving on too quickly. So I'll give it a moment. But there's some lovely examples there of what excites you to be a coach activator. Good stuff. Okay, so I'd like you to discuss with your colleagues or just reflect upon it if you're on your own. What are the 3 main reasons you are a coach or activator? So you've given me some stuff there, but what are the 3 main reasons? There's 5 or 6 that you've given me. If you could rank them, as in the most important, number 1, second most important, and the third most important, what would be your top 3? Have a look in the chat facility and see what other people have said, because they might have come up with a good idea. You thought, oh yeah, I agree with that. He's put to encourage more girls to take part in sports that girls aren't always encouraged to do so, whether that's the rugby or the football. Yeah, brilliant, Eve. So to inspire other girls to play sports that aren't necessarily deemed to be girl sports. And we'll come on to a video in a moment that I think captures that, Eve. So that's brilliant. Children have gone, number 1 is encourage. Number 2 is to inspire. Love that. Tilly's put to help others learn, meet new people, encourage younger people to get more involved more often. Brilliant. And 3, build futures. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Tell me more about building futures, ladies. What do you mean by that? I quite like it. I just want you to explain it a little bit more so I understand it fully. So it might be that coming back to that 5-minute more video that we had in the last session. Demi High School have gone, making sure there are needs met, encouragement and inspire and opportunities. Love that. So the future things, helping young children discover what they love and get to a place where they might like to pursue something they love in the future. Get it? Okay, brilliant. So maybe giving them a range of different sporting opportunities to find the one that actually suits them the best and they enjoy them the most. So not just saying that this is football, 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 not there's anything wrong with football, but actually there's cricket, there's basketball, there's tennis, there's netball, there's different sports that they might like to play, like Eve was talking about, that might not be so associated with girls maybe playing that sport. Brilliant, ladies, that's fantastic. Really lovely insight. So here's some research that Youth Sport Trust and UK Coaching have done, and you guys are clearly on point with all of this. So looking and feeling good. So we talked about our well-being and looking good as well in terms of why we do sport and physical activity. Being with friends. You guys highlighted having fun. So you talked about being sociable, making friends, having fun, being in the right environment. So a good environment where it's a positive environment, it's a fun one, it's friendly. You're not maybe getting into trouble with things that are maybe happening in other parts of society. Actually, sport is keeping you focused and giving you a purpose so that you don't make poor decisions elsewhere, maybe. And learning something new was the 5th one. So I think you put that as well, sort of about learning and possibly a new sport, like Eve said, that you might not have associated with maybe playing before. Really well done, ladies. I told you you've done a good job. Good. Okay. Oh, so this is the video, Always Like a Girl. And I think, Eve, this comes back to your insightful point about actually maybe trying other sports that are different or maybe not associated with girls, maybe. So Jill's going to work her magic again. I think she's going to pop that link into the chat facility for you. There she goes, superstar. It's as if we practice this. And please, all sports are associated with girls. Yes, I agree with that. But Eve made the point that actually there's sometimes people might have narrow-minded opinions that, oh, you can't do that, you're a girl. And this video is on that absolute point. So have a watch the video. When you've seen it, then press done, please, into the chat. Oh, they might have picked up the same video link. Oh, rats. Okay, bear me a second. See if I can find that.
Stuart, I seem to have the same links.
That's okay. I'll just have a quick look for it and see if I can find it for you.
Yeah, I was watching. I was going, we watched this.
Yeah.
I've just checked on the PowerPoint and it's the same. I have taken the right link.
Yeah, no, funny enough, I've just done the same. So there's us checking it earlier. And there's I might have picked up the wrong one for you. So bear me a second. I'll just grab that. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in the, go back to this.
Have you got it, Stuart?
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, I'm just going to put it in the chat facility.
Yeah.
There we go, gang. Sorry about that. There you go. It's in the chat facility. Hopefully that works now. Have a watch and then say when you're done. Sorry about that, ladies. Thanks, Tembi. Most people have done good coming through. Sorry about that mix-up. These things happen sometimes, but thank you for persevering with us. Thank you for being patient with us. So, yeah, when did you throw like a girl become an insult? And just as you guys were saying, actually, anyone should be allowed to play any sport. It doesn't matter whether they're any good or not. It's the fact that they should be entitled to have that opportunity to try, irrespective of background, race, sex, religion, all that kind of stuff that you guys highlighted before. You should be given that opportunity. And I find that always video really interesting in terms of the difference when people try and pretend that they're running like a girl and they're kind of just a bit daft while they're doing it. And you see the young girls do it and they're awesome, and just giving it some. So I think obviously they talked about puberty and things changing and maybe losing self-confidence, and that's where things may change and people may get maybe more self-conscious about how they look and how they feel when we're taking part in physical activity. This girl you may have come across a massive promotion by Sport England. It's trying to encourage more girls and women to want to participate in physical activity and sport. If you haven't seen it, it's worth having a look, downloading some of the marketing campaigns that I think Sport England have done a really good job on in terms of taking any stigma away from women and girls participating in sport and physical activity. So moving forward, we talked about those acronyms. So we've got an acronym of SMILE. Now you can grab a pen and paper if you want to, but this presentation will come out to you guys and girls as well. So you'll be able to have a little look through. So here you've got SMILES, which is an acronym for safe, maximum participation, so making sure that all your participants are able to get involved all of the time. Like we said, sport is for everyone. Making sure it's inclusive. So as you can see in that picture on the screen there, there is an opportunity to hit, looks like she's playing softball or baseball, and the young lady using the wheelchair is able to still participate in play, but by adapting the equipment and adapting sort of maybe the rules, she's still able to participate and take part in the activity. So it's making sure that everyone in your group is able to participate and it meets their needs and abilities. The L of SMILES is that participants learn, develop new skills or knowledge, like you guys highlighted before. Enjoyment, you talked about fun before, so making sure they're motivated to have fun, which is why they play that physical activity or sport. And then the final one is success. So making sure there's a sense of achievement, not necessarily winning, although it's nice to win, don't get me wrong, I quite like winning, but if I've tried my best, and I think if you guys and girls have tried their best, then you're in a situation where actually you feel that you've achieved, but you might not win the activity or might not win the race, but if you're involved in, say, the 100-meter race, but you've given it everything you can do, it's just that somebody else is slightly faster. But if you've done the best you can do, then you should be really delighted with your performance. The next one is STEP principles. Now, I wish I'd known about this STEP acronym 10, 15 years before I actually sort of learned it when I was started to become more of a tutor than maybe a coach or a participant. I was kind of doing this when I was coaching, but it wasn't in such a structured way. So this is why I think SMILES and STEP in this example are really important to think about when you're delivering to your participants. So STEP stands for space. So if you change the space, the shape of the space, whether it's in a circle or a square or making it bigger, making it smaller, you can change the whole dynamics of your session. Think about heights. So you could use nets, you could take out nets if you wanted to in terms of the height of targets as well. So think about where things are in proximity to you in terms of location. Task, think about what they're doing to perform that physical activity or sport. So think about the choice of activity that you're doing, the competition format, looking at the rules and regulations that you might have to meet, and maybe the techniques that you're using. Maybe it's an underarm throw, maybe it's thrown to what from your right hand to people catching with 2 hands. Maybe it's that it's throwing to from your right hand to a non-dominant hand, maybe to my left hand. So it's changing the task that you're doing in your activity. The E is for equipment. So think about maybe changing the equipment. So when you're maybe doing a chest pass, it may be that you use a netball first of all, which is obviously kind of a good thing to use. But actually somebody with a learning need might actually need a bigger ball. So you might use a beach ball that's easier to move, or maybe you use a balloon that you try and tap across to somebody rather than throw. Maybe if they're really good at sending and receiving, throwing and catching, you might use a smaller tennis ball or maybe a ping pong ball to make it harder. So looking at what I would call differentiation, you're changing the activity through your space, your task, equipment, and your people. Think about maybe Stuck in the Mud. I love that game. I think it's a brilliant tag game. Obviously, there's some things to think about in terms of safety. So coming back to smiles, we need to make sure it's safe. So when someone gets tagged, they put their arms out, and rather than going through the legs, go under the arms. But they have to be facing the person to be able to release them if they're untagging them. The difficulty is you've got one person coming one way and one person going the other way under the same armpit, as it were. You might clash heads and you might hurt each other. So clearly we don't want that to happen. So there's some things you might need to think about. But when we're playing Stuck in the Mud, you might have 10 people participating, and you might think, actually, we'll have 2 taggers. Well, actually, the 2 taggers are okay. But if you had 3 or 4 taggers, it makes it much easier for the taggers to try and tag people. So depending on how quick your participants are and how much agility they have in terms of being able to change direction or acceleration, deceleration at speed, think about who are the stronger, more physically literate children. You might pair them up with somebody that isn't maybe as physically literate, or you might say, actually, we'll give the 3 or 4 taggers rather than 2 to make it easier. So by changing, so it's you can seed your group. That's what we're saying in terms of levels of physical literacy. You can actually have a situation where everyone can take part and everyone's still got the ability to get involved, which is your conclusive element, but you adapt your space, your tasks, your equipment, your people, so that you can make it easier or harder depending on how the participants are performing. And you as coaches and activators will be observing and watching, thinking, oh, not sure they've understood this. Okay, how do I break this down for them to make it a little bit easier? Do I make the space a little bit bigger so it gives them a bit more time when they receive the ball? They're in more space so they can actually think about what they're doing and make a more informed decision about the next pass. Do I change the task where I think, actually, rather than trying to throw it over 20, 30 yards or feet, can I do it over 10 so they're not having to throw as far? So maybe we start with an underarm throw, and then as we catch the ball, we take a step back when we're sending and receiving to our partners, and actually then we make it further and further away, which changes the space, and also then we're looking at maybe throwing overarm rather than underarm. So smiles and step, hopefully you've had a chance to write them down. I'll put them up again. So smiles is safe, maximum participation, inclusive, learning, enjoyment, and success. I can imagine you just scribbling them down as quick as you can. If you've done it already, brilliant. And then we've got the step principles that are space, task, equipment, and people. Now, the reason we've done smiles and steps is it's a really good base for you to think about your sessions and planning your sessions. So in a moment, we're going to use those step and smiles acronyms in the scenarios that I'm going to put 3 scenarios in front of you that we're going to talk through. So if you want to get into groups of 2s and 3s, some of you have already done it. Obviously, if you're working from home on your own, you're not going to be having 2s and 3s, but have a little think about your step and smile scenarios. So here we go. Here's the first scenario. You want to create the most engaging start to the session that you can come up with in a sort of a 3 to 4 minute warm up. So in a warm up, you're doing a pulse raiser, so you're getting heart racing, and you're doing some dynamic stretches. And you want them to get ready for the session. So they're doing sort of 3 or 4 minutes. Think about how you most effectively use your space. We've got virtual space here because obviously we're online, but your space, and how you're checking for smiles all the way through. So think about a 3 or 4 minute warm up to get your participants active and busy and doing, and that pulse raise and dynamic stretching, you might have to think about who's in your group. So think about, I think Chiltern were working with a group of SEND pupils today. Think what you might have to do to adapt the warm up, which means that you can engage everyone in the group. And then finally, once you've thought about that activity, how are you going to capture or find out if it was successful? So just give us some examples of how you think it might be successful. So come up with a bit of a warm up. So have a chat amongst yourselves. What might your warm up be? Is it a game? Is it an activity? I mentioned stuck in the mud a moment ago. Is that a good thing to get in straight away? Or do we do sort of maybe jogging or heels flicks and knees up? Or do we do a follow my leader type activity? What sort of things might you think your participants would enjoy and motivate them? Because it's fun and engaging, they're going to learn, it's inclusive, it's using all those smiles and then maybe the step techniques to make sure they're all included. Once you've thought about it, pop it in the chat facility. And we can share some ideas with each other. Doesn't have to be loads of information, ladies. You could put a game that you like to play, Chicken, Twin or Hero. Seems to be a fun one at the moment that lots of children like to do. Basically from running from one side to the other side of an area. And they've got tails and they say, ask people, are you a chicken, twin or hero? They say a chicken, everyone runs and they try and get past 2 or 3 taggers in the middle. If they say they're a twin, they twin up with somebody else. Or if they say hero, they run on their own. And then once they've got through or they've got tagged and lost their tag, everyone goes to the other side. And if you lose your tail, you go in the middle and you try and catch the other people as they go the other way. Oh, dishes and domes, like that one. That's a good game for some of the younger children. It's slightly competitive like that. Brings enjoyment, fun with a sense of success at the end. Yeah, we got as many cones as we could do. Yeah, brilliant. What a great idea. Dishes and domes. That's where you turn, one team have got it that way and one team have got it as a dome maybe. Brilliant. Great example, Denby girls. Well done. Cone Ranger. Oh, like that one. Running for different color cones, which are worth different points. That's cross curriculum. So you're actually starting to do maths as well, which your teachers will love because obviously the more they can work on their addition and subtraction. That's a brilliant game. Cone Ranger. Right, I'm stealing that one. Thank you. See, I'm learning, even though I've been coaching for 20 or 30 years. Cone Ranger. Brilliant idea. Bulldog is a game where there's one tag and the rest run forward without getting tagged. And if you get tagged, you go to the middle alongside the tag. A bit like Chicken, Twin or Hero, but maybe only one person being a hero. I know they all go. Wow. And there's your step principles. You could add more people tagging in the middle to start with. Good, Anna. Great example. Rats and rabbits. Love that. So you've got 2 lines of people. One's rats, one's rabbits. It's a tagging game, I think. We shout rats. One goes one way, one could go one way, and the rabbits try and tag them. And then what you might shout rabbits. The rabbits go one way, and the rats try and tag them. Yeah, good. And they try and run to a safety zone, safety box. Good example, Tia. Well done. That's quite a dynamic one, but it would definitely get them going. Noughts and crosses with cones, yes. So running out and putting different bibs maybe into a noughts and crosses board that you've made with cones. Great example, Amna. Love that. Very, very good. You've got some great ideas. How do we capture if it's successful or not? How do we know? What are we looking for as coaches? Is it thumbs up, thumbs down? Is it kind of smiles? What are we looking for from our participants? How do we know that they've got success? Is it that they understand the game? Is it that they play it? If everyone is engaged and happy, Amna, love that. Well done. And people are tapping away. I can sense it. Good. Okay, I'm conscious of time. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to skip through the next 2. Out of breath, look warm and smiling. They're all having fun. Brilliant. We're going to skip through the next 2 scenarios, but we'll come back to them. But I'm just conscious that some of our young ladies are leaving us in 3 or 4 minutes. So here we go. So in terms of a session structure, we like to plan our sessions. So this is what we're talking about now in terms of planning. You're starting to do that with different activities and games that you've just talked about. You deliver them, so you make them happen, and then you observe what happens, and then you review and feedback. So I like to say it's plan, do, review. So you plan it, you do it, you look, observe it, and then you review it. So did it work well? Was it successful? Were people out of breath? Did they look warm and smiling? Were they all having fun? Which is really important. Not a problem, Denby High, that's fine. Here we've got action planning. So these are the things that we might want to think about working on in the short term and long term. What the challenge is to you is how you're going to do it and who might help you, and how will you know you will have succeeded. So some of the stuff you talked about before. In terms of next steps, we've got what we call a motivations audit. So you've actually got the opportunity of handing out a form to your participants that before the next session that we deliver here, we're going to ask you to identify a group of young people that you might work with and ask them to complete this sort of questionnaire or motivations audit. So you're going to put their first name and you're going to ask them about what's important to them. Is it being in the right environment? Is it learning something new, looking and feeling good, spending time with friends, having fun? And also then how you adapt activities based on the motivations of this person. So thinking about our smiles and steps, how will we change things to make sure that it fits those 5 criteria, or what the best ones or favorite ones are from your people that you're doing the audit with. And then what we'll do is we can use that information to come to the next session where you've got some ideas about the types of activities that you might want to deliver that meet the types of ambitions that your young people might have. So if it's all about having fun, what activities are there that they could have lots of fun and enjoy? Is it lots of games and activities? Okay. So I like this statement. I thought that was a really nice thing to talk about. A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. So in terms of our step principles and our smiles, we can use those acronyms to help us change the space, the task, the equipment, the number of people taking part. But actually, if you ladies get it right in terms of your delivery, you could engage somebody, as you highlighted before, for the rest of their lives, that they love sport and physical activity because you've made it enjoyable. You've made it fun. You've found that area of motivation that works for that individual. Well, that's where I think that quote, a good coach can change a game. A great coach can change your life. You could be that factor. You talked about some of your teachers earlier, and they're probably a little bit ashen-faced and a little bit embarrassed maybe that you're saying how inspiring they are, how motivating they are. But they're superstars because they're doing something that inspires others to enjoy sport as much as they did, or maybe even more. And maybe even better that them delivering it in the future. Just think, your teachers doing their job for me as a coach, as an educator. I want to try and accelerate and speed up the process of learning for participants so they're even better than hopefully I am at coaching. Because I'm all right, but actually if I can get you to where I am now, 20 years before I got there, then at, I don't know, 15, 16, 20 years of age, you're going to be an amazing coach and be brilliant because you're going to be so far ahead of where I am now. You've still got another 20 years to develop and improve. And when you get a bit old like me, then you're going to be just awesome and so much better than I was where I am now. And that's why you're an educator or a teacher, and you want to give opportunities to young people to learn, develop, and ultimately be better at something than you are, and be all right with that. And in terms of the slide, obviously, I know the girls are leaving from Denby, so good luck and be the change is the kind of thing that we wanted you to take away as that sort of really positive thing from today's presentation. So I'm going to say bye to the Denby girls, but I'm just going to come back to the other 2 scenarios that we were doing before, just to capture those, and we can use the chat facility again. It's the second part of our session, as it were, in that we've done a warm-up and now we want to look at an engaging first activity. So have a think to yourselves, and it says here virtual, but obviously things have changed since this presentation was written. Think about it, that you might not have to do it virtually anymore. You can do it face to face. Think of a 5-minute activity that you could deliver to everyone in the group so that they can take part in an activity. So think about what activity you might look to do, and then think about how you're going to adapt your task through those 5 minutes. So think about a game or a first activity you might do, and think about how you might use the step principles to change it slightly. Amna, thanks for your message. Don't worry. Hope the appointment goes well. Thanks for all your input. You've been a superstar. So think about who your group might be and how you might adapt it. So some of you talked about different games like rats and rabbits. And maybe you think like Cone Ranger. Maybe you've got some teams that have children that are very physically literate and very fast. So when you play Cone Ranger, maybe the children that aren't as quick, maybe you start them nearer to the cones than the other teams in terms of your space. Domes and dishes. Do you have more players on one team than the other team? I think when I've played domes and dishes, I think it's always easier to turn it from a dish to a dome. So turn it one way to the other. I think that's how I've always found, that teams tend to win that way around. So you might have to swap it around a little bit. You might have to change the task. Maybe you can only use your left hand to turn over one way, or you can only use your right hand, or you can't do 2 cones at once. So pop it in the chat. What activity might you be able to do? Only for 5 minutes. And we might have to do it virtually, you never know, but hopefully we can do it face to face. So pop it in the chat if you can. What activities, what things might you do? Are there other games that you can play? I know we said noughts and crosses, stuck in the mud. Is there a activity that might be linked to a sport, whether it's netball, football, rugby, hockey? Maybe it's a passing activity, or like that here. In hockey, you can dribble the ball through cones or gates as many times as you can. Brilliant. What a great idea. Excellent, Tia. So you might get points for going through every gate that you go through. So you're getting people to dribble around, so they're improving their stick skills. They're hopefully looking for space where there's a gate that's free and available. And then you might put a little bit of competition element in terms of trying to get through as many gates as you can. And it may be you're asking the children to use a reverse stick. That's a great example, Tia. And you might have bigger gates and smaller gates. And once again, how do we find out it's successful? How do we know we can check for success? How do we know? So once again, it might be smiles, happy. Oh, here, Tilly's put netball. You could have 2 teams playing over and under. Oh, what a good idea. Where they pass the ball along their line and try and be quicker each time. So they pass from side to side or under and over. And then the person at the end maybe has to run around to the front, but has to release the ball. Yeah, great idea. Super game under and over. And good about improving hand-eye coordination, about passing, receiving the ball maybe in a W shape to catch the ball. So soft hands maybe. Making sure the accuracy of pass in terms of netball, especially when we go under and over. because you know you're going to lose. If you drop that ball and it starts spilling away from you, you know you're not going to win that under and over game. It's a great shout. You could go side to side, although I don't often think you'd use that in netball, but maybe it's working on your core strengths. There may be other reasons for doing that. But that's where you might be able to change the task a little bit just to keep it fun, I suppose, is a good one. Oh, look, we've got for rugby passing between, other team can intercept it in any way they'd like to, but the team has to reach the try line. But the line could be any shape or size. Great idea. Could also be applicable to netball and basketball. Yes, there's transferable rules maybe that you could bring in. Love that. Great idea. Thank you, Eve. Well done. Good stuff, ladies. Loving all those ideas. Really helpful for everyone else on the session. Okay. And the last one, I think, is one of the hardest ones to do. But because you're doing so well, I think I can challenge you with that. So here we go. We're looking at the session's over. All right. So we've finished the session. Lots of activity going on, which is great. But you want to make sure that you get all the feedback you need to make the session even better next time. But at the same time, you need to make sure everyone is buzzing to come back. It says here online, but in face-to-face for next time. So how do you make sure that at the end of this session, you make it engaging for everyone to come back? So here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to talk amongst yourselves about things you might want to consider saying in your session debrief and the questions that you might want to ask those participants in terms of what their feelings might be to the session. So how are you going to create an opportunity for them to answer? How are you going to lead them to get excited to come back? And what will be the last memory of the session? So we're looking at the penultimate paragraph. Think about the questions you want to ask in terms of, did they enjoy it? Have they had fun? What's going to keep them coming back? How might they answer? Is that an audit? Is that a questionnaire yourselves, or is that just a show of hands? How are you going to engage with them to come back next time? So have a little think about that. Pop that in the chat facility. How are we going to make sure that they come back? What sort of questions might we ask them? How are we going to give them a leaving memory, a lasting memory, a leaving memory? So pop that in the chat facility. Provide with a certificate or stickers. What a great idea. So there's a well done of here, you get the sticker or you get a certificate for engagement and participation, that they enjoyed themselves or they achieved a task. Oh, like that, Tim. Maybe ask them what they'd like to do next time. So at the end, is there anything that you really enjoyed doing today, or is there any other sport or physical activity that you might like to try in the future? Because that might engage them to come back next time, because you're doing something that they may want to do even more so than the activities that you've got them to do. But I like the idea of certificates and stickers. Good idea. So he's put to sit them down in their teams and congratulate them. Oh, brilliant for participating. They could even do a little bit of a cheer and a clap. Love that. If they've had fun at the end, which validates everyone, engages them to come back. Yeah, so I had a really good experience. I'm going to come back to this again because I've really enjoyed it. And they've made it fun. They made it engaging. I've learned lots. I'm playing with my friends. I'm getting good social skills from that. I probably won't explain like that, but they're the sort of things that they're getting, that you're facilitating and doing that. And I suppose that's how you know if it's successful, that they come back. So in terms of a register, you might have, I don't know, 10, 15 participants, and there's no fall off in terms of numbers turning up. You still get your 10, 15, you still get your friends telling your friends, oh, make sure you come to, I don't know, lunchtime rugby club. Eve's brilliant coach. She's got everyone engaged. She's made it very enthusiastic to be part of the session. That's brilliant. Well done. Very, very good, ladies. Really insightful. Ask them to high five all of their friends who they think have done really well. Emily, what a great shout. So in terms of coming back to that point about a good coach can change a great game. Sorry, can change a game. A great coach can change a life. And some of the content you've done there, ladies, have been absolutely brilliant, really insightful, really knowledgeable, and some lovely ideas that I'm not going to lie, I'm going to steal, because there are some really good ideas there. We're always still learning. That's brilliant. And I think, like we said to the demigirls, children girls that had to leave early, I think it was demigirls, good luck. Thank you for being so insightful and giving those feedbacks and giving some ideas to all the other people on the course that might be able to sort of inherit some of those ideas that you've suggested and use them as part of that opportunity for them to deliver. And the final thing for us is obviously we wish you all the best of luck for the next time until we see you next, and be that change, be that catalyst for change in your organization at your school. It will be a fantastic achievement. So please try and be that change, and I'm sure you will do. Just to wrap it up, we've got 2 more dates for the diary. So the Thursday, the 3rd of March and Thursday, the 24th of March. We've got a couple of different topics to deliver. And then finally, on the 28th of April, we look forward to meeting you in Flitwick for the day's worth of delivery that we're going to be doing. Thank you ever so much. I'm conscious of time, for being part of the second session today for the young coaches and activators in the Team Beds and Luton area. Thank you for being so fantastic in terms of your knowledge, your insight, in terms of the activities that we're trying to encourage you to feel confident about in terms of your planning for your sessions, the motivation, why people get involved, understanding why they're there. Because if you can understand why they're there, that's why they like to enjoy their sport and physical activity, and hopefully we can create those opportunities for those young people within the group. So thank you ever so much for being so brilliant. You've been superb. We're finishing off on that. I think we'll finish the share and the recording. So Jill, thank you ever so much for being so brilliant. Is there anything you want to add, Jill? Nikki, is